Okay, it's my first video of 2024. You know, my original plan was to intro this video expressing how cool it is that I'm starting this channel off strong this year with an airline that I've never reviewed out of an airport which I've never taken a look at. But you know, I think I need to start this one off with a story time. Let's go back to Friday, January 5th. For a while, I had seriously been looking forward to my first plane trip of 2024, which was to begin on Sunday, January 7th. My most anticipated flight is Alaska Airlines Flight 644 from Seattle to Phoenix, and it's January 5th, 2 days before my trip, so in the morning I immediately opened my Flight Radar 24 app and was pleased to find out that my flight will be operated by a brand new Boeing 737 MAX 9 of the tail number November 704 Alpha Lima. As you can see, I took a screenshot of it. My initial intent was to use this screenshot for the trip report I had planned to make, as I always had done in my airline reviews, and now at this time I'm very excited for the flight. I couldn't wait to try Alaska Airlines 737 MAX, so I began tracking the aircraft, checking on it every so often while it made its 5.5-hour journey from New York to Portland as Flight 19. As I normally do with aircraft that I'm set to fly on. Once the MAX landed in Portland in the evening, I made note of its next leg to Ontario, Flight 1282, which I checked on once. When I did, I noticed that it never made it to Ontario. It diverted back to Portland immediately. Yeah, trust me, if you've been keeping up with the news lately, you know exactly where this is going. But you know, I've seen diversions happen on Flight Radar before, and on the playback, I noticed that it taxied all the way back to the gate, so I didn't think anything of it. Just another diversion for probably a minor reason. That's what I assumed it was. Side note, they swapped my plane to the twin sister of this particular MAX, 705 Alpha Lima. So I went to sleep that night still very excited for the flight I'd taken 2 days and to film it. Then I wake up on Saturday the 6th. Open YouTube. The first video I see in my recommended is about an Alaska Airlines 737 MAX that had its left door plug blown off during takeoff. Right away I looked up the story. I was grateful to find out that the plane landed safely and that every passenger survived. But I recognized the route that the aircraft was performing from somewhere. And on top of that, I recognized the tail number in one of the photos of the aftermath. Yeah, it was November 704 Alpha Lima. The plane that had its door plug ripped off at 16,000 feet was the one I was originally supposed to take from Seattle to Phoenix. I was shocked at everything. That this happened, that it was a brand new plane, and that I recognized it from just a day ago listed to be on a flight that I'm supposed to take. I didn't know what to think. Like, yeah, that happened. I was supposed to be on that plane and was literally tracking it the day it happened. If you want to learn more about the Alaska Flight 1282 incident, you can look it up. It was all over the news when it happened. Like, every single 737 MAX 9 operated by both Alaska and United Airlines was grounded after this, and they still are to the time I'm recording. Well, just the MAX 9s. The 8s don't have door plugs, so they're fine for now. But at this point, I wouldn't even be surprised if something was wrong with them too. Like, Boeing, you need to get it together. This should never have happened. Honestly, I can't blame anyone for not trusting Boeing after they've given us many reasons not to. Like, thank goodness this happened at 16,000 feet and not during cruise. It could have been much worse. I don't know about you, but I will at least be avoiding the MAX 9s for quite some time now, even if they're ungrounded. After the depressurization incident was reported, my plane was swapped again to a generic 737-900 NG, which is a plane type I'm a lot more comfortable on. The type has been flying for over 2 decades. And I will review the flight in this video, and I'll try to make it as normal as possible from now. So yeah, here I am, in Seattle-Tacoma Airport, set in a few hours to board the flight which November 704 Alpha Lima would have performed had it not lost its door plug and depressurized, or had it just not happened as early as it did. Let me leave this topic off on one more note, that this was the most surreal aviation experience I've had as of now. I took this flight knowing full well that I was 2 days away from being on a plane that had a hole ripped open midair. If you'd like, let me know in the comment section what you think about this next coming of the MAX groundings. Anyways, let's fly. Hey guys, welcome to my first trip report of 2024. As you already know, I am finally reviewing Alaska Airlines. I've waited a long time to take a flight with them, so despite, you know what I mean, I'm still pretty excited for this flight. I'm currently at Alaska's main hub, Seattle-Tacoma International, aka the closest they can get to Alaska without actually being in Alaska. I'm currently booked on flight 644, a 2-hour-long night departure to Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport. The original departure time was supposed to be 8 p.m., however, it got delayed this morning to 9 p.m. This is actually because my Boeing 737-900ER November 278 Alpha Kilo got stuck for a few hours in Newark last night before it could get to Portland, and immediately after that it went on to a red-eye which landed this morning, and then the plane continued on with a delayed schedule, and they couldn't find me another aircraft, most likely due to their entire MAX 9 fleet being grounded. I'm not complaining though, because I'm actually very grateful that they even got me a plane at all and are committed to getting it here instead of just canceling my flight. Other flights, including a few of the earlier Phoenix ones, were not so lucky. Alaska had to cancel quite a few of their flights after the MAXs were grounded. But the evening flights to Phoenix were operating fine today. We had one at 5 p.m. flight 646, another flight 622 delayed to 8 p.m., and then there was mine, flight 644, the latest one, which just got delayed again to 10:40 p.m. I got here before 5, so I managed to spot the 737-900 performing the 5 p.m. Phoenix flight. You can barely see it, but it's there. I actually asked the gate agent if it was possible for me to move to this flight instead. However, not only was it full, it was also closing its boarding process. So then I asked if there were any openings on flight 622, the 8 p.m. one, but there were none. So changing my flight was out of the question. So what better way is there to spend my 5 hours here in Seattle Airport than exploring as much of it as I possibly can? It's a new airport for me. If I'd ever flown out of it in the past, I don't remember a single thing about it. But yeah, here it is. I spent a lot of time in this enormous center area, and I wish more United States airports had something like this. Seattle-Tacoma is one of those airports which I would never wish to be renovated. I picked up some dinner from this restaurant on one of the interior balconies. I got a great view of the center area from here, and if you have a layover in Seattle's main terminal building, I'd recommend going here. Believe it or not, I had the time to walk around the entire main terminal building and familiarized myself with it quickly. I also spotted a ton of planes, mostly Alaska Airlines, but quite a few Deltas too. And I did recognize one in particular.
We meet again, November 3756.
That being this Delta Airlines 737-800 of the tail number November 3756. I flew on this exact aircraft almost 10 years ago from Los Angeles to Salt Lake, and I'm seeing it again today. I found out it was here because I noticed that the 800 was the most prominent type of Delta's fleet at this airport, so I looked up the plane's tail number to see if it was here, and it turned out it was, and was set to go down to Nashville. I quickly made my way to this gate to catch a glimpse of the aircraft, seeing it again after almost a decade. Along with the newer 900s, Alaska also uses the 800 variant as seen here. While I was walking around, I came across this aviation store and the model planes caught my eye. At the end of the B concourse, I spotted 3 Southwest planes, one of each aircraft type in the fleet. I have 5 reviews on this airline. I swear, I always need to get reminded that Seattle isn't just a hub for Alaska Airlines, but Delta too. They dominate the B concourse. But Alaska Airlines takes up most of the other gates. Delays aren't a great thing, but I can't lie that I enjoyed the hours I had here a lot. Seattle-Tacoma isn't my favorite airport in the United States, however, if I had another chance to have a layover here, I wouldn't hesitate to take it. But now is the time I gotta leave the central terminal, because as it turns out, my gate is N4. The end gates are in the North Satellite Terminal, which you can see from here, but in order to get to it, I need to take a shuttle train. This is going to be a bit of a longer video, as you can probably tell, given how long it took me to tell the story and how much time I spent here in Seattle.
Please stand clear of the doors. closing. Please stand clear.
If you enjoy content like this and want to see more of it, please remember to click like and to subscribe.
Please hold on. Next stop, end gates. Remain on board for C and D gates.
And welcome to the North Satellite Terminal. This area of the airport did have a few decent dining options and a few convenience stores as well. But then not long after I actually got here, I found out that my flight got delayed again to 11:02 p.m. Okay, Alaska, believe me, I'm very grateful that you were able to get me a plane and you're committed in getting it to me instead of just canceling my flight. But does this really have to turn into a 2-hour-long red-eye? You know what, I guess so. My gate is one of 3 gates which stand at this corner of the satellite terminal. Each one had a flight operating at this time, respectively going to Oakland, Phoenix, and Portland, but mine was the only one that still did not have its plane. They had one thing in common though, each one was to be operated by a Boeing 737-900. 9-year-old November 469 Alpha Sierra would take the journey to Oakland, and 22-year-old November 309 Alpha Sierra would take the half-hour hop down to Portland. You can tell that this one is one of the older 900s as it's got the eyebrows. You can also see another 900 from here, but this one isn't among the corner trio. The third and final member of the corner trio, in other words, my flight to Phoenix, has recently begun its approach into Seattle from Las Vegas. On its trail, we got a Delta A321neo from Honolulu and an Alaska 737-800 also coming in from Vegas. Yeah, among my plane there were like 2 other Alaska Airlines flights that were trying to leave Vegas. For some reason they had trouble, and that's probably why my flight was delayed again. But then, the moment I'd been waiting for came. My 737 made a successful touchdown in Seattle after 5 late takeoffs from 5 different major airports. Yeah, words couldn't describe my absolute relief when I saw the plane slowly but surely make its way to the gate. Like, keep in mind, they swapped my flight to this particular jet on the morning of January 6th, so I had been tracking this little stinker for about 36 hours, checking on it over and over again, watching every journey it made since then. And it's all come down to this. The plane is standing in front of me right now. I'm pretty lucky for 2 reasons. For one, I could have easily ended up on that screwed up MAX jet. It was clearly there, originally posted to be on my route. But even ignoring that, this flight could have easily been cancelled, given the fact that it was originally supposed to be a MAX. But no, they found me another plane, and they got it here. Yeah, the MAX groundings definitely disrupted a lot of the operations here at Alaska's main base. Probably also contributed to the delay of this flight. But this flight, it still flies, and the star of the show today, the third and youngest member of the corner trio, is November 278 Alpha Kilo, a 6-year-old Boeing 737-900ER. Welcome aboard. My seat today will be 24E, not a window seat. Sorry, I would much rather have one. However, I'm flying in basic economy today, or as Alaska calls it, saver. You can't select seats with this type of fare, but I just use basic economy as a blanket term. This is actually my first time flying with any sort of basic economy ticket. So yeah, I'm in an aisle seat, and it's a full flight, so there'll be no window seats open. I'll try to get some wing shots, but they won't be good. But yeah, this is the Alaska 737-900ER. This is a relatively new 737NG, which I'm happy about, as we do get the sky interior. The legroom on the 737NG is very generous. It's similar to Delta, if not better. The seats are slim, but not too uncomfortable. I noticed that they're the same model Lufthansa uses on their A320 family, just with a headrest and different colors. We also have the tray table. It's kind of lacking in depth, but it's got 2 cup groves, which is nice. And as it should, it extends. The literature pocket includes the basics. We got an air sickness bag, along with a menu card, where they'll advertise not only their buy-on-board products, but also the complimentary drinks which they'll serve on this 2-hour night flight. They also have information on their personal device entertainment, which they actually have. We'll take a look at it later. And finally, we got a safety card. They also have a universal power outlet, which I didn't use because, as usual, I brought a power pack. And then there is a second seat pocket at the bottom. This plane was very clean. Pretty soon, cabin crew began their rounds of complimentary service. For a snack, they gave us these pretzels. In my opinion, they were alright, just a little bland. Then they offered a choice of drinks, from which I chose orange juice. I'd say this is the typical service you'd expect on a USA domestic flight. However, I appreciate the extensive drink selection. Now let's take a look at what they offer for entertainment. To access it, you just need to connect to their Wi-Fi. I was actually very surprised by how much they had. Like, there was a ton of content on here, much more than I expected from this airline. They also have free texting, but I never tried that out. After I finished my drink and snack, I realized how tired I was. So I grabbed my travel pillow and eye mask, reclined my seat, sat back, and got some sleep. Good morning! Oh, right, it's still the middle of the night. I managed to get an hour's sleep, which was the most I could get while reviewing the service, so I think my time on this flight was spent well. We are now descending into Phoenix, Arizona.
we'd like to welcome you to Phoenix, where the local time is 2:33 a.m.
And just like that, we have another airport making its first appearance on this channel. It's 2:30 a.m., January 8th. So despite the delay, this was a very nice flight. Obviously, taking it was surreal for me specifically, as you know, I knew of the aircraft which was originally scheduled on the route. But it was also an enjoyable flight. The seats had a lot of legroom and were comfortable enough for me to even get some sleep. Then we got the in-flight entertainment selection, which exceeded my expectations. We also had a decent crew for the timing of this flight, and the service level was expected, but not bad at all. I'm giving this flight a final score of 7.8 out of 10. It definitely would have been higher had the delay not occurred, so I think I gotta also mention that I don't think this is really Alaska's fault. 65 of their planes were grounded just yesterday, and I understand that it'll take a while for them to fully adapt to that. This just wasn't a good time to fly with the airline, so I would recommend them, just not now, I guess. Maybe give it a few weeks or so, by then they'll probably have everything figured out with their existing fleet. But if your flight is operated by one of the regionals like Horizon or SkyWest, you should be fine anyway. Those fleets are operating like normal. I hope that all is well for everyone who was on Flight 1282. I can't imagine how horrific that was. Still wondering exactly what happened on Flight 1282 that caused a brand new 737 MAX to lose its door plug. When will we find out for sure? Only time will tell.